Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is going to be another Swatches and First Impressions video. The makeup product that I am going to be swatching for you guys, as well as giving my first impression thoughts on, is the Aladdin eyeshadow quad or palette from MAC Cosmetics. As you guys know, I am a huge Disney fan, and I do have a couple other eyeshadow palettes from MAC from their previous Disney collection, so you know I had to go ahead and pick up the eyeshadow palette for the Aladdin collection. So yeah, I don't want to make this intro that long, so let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. So if you would like to see the eyeshadows that come in this eyeshadow palette, see the swatches of them, and then hear my first impression thoughts on the eyeshadows and the palette as a whole, then just keep on watching. So first, let's go over the packaging of this product. Now, obviously, this is the box that the product comes in, which I think is gorgeous. I love the pattern, the colors. I just love how they kept everything very in theme when it comes to Aladdin. And here's what the product looks like outside of the packaging. And just like the outer box of it, I love the packaging. I love the gold metallic that majority of the packaging is made out of. And then, of course, you have the transparent top, but with the same pattern as the outer box. Like, I just think the packaging is simple, but really beautiful. This product does have a magnet closure, which is nice, so you know your eyeshadows are going to be kept safe. Now let's move on to the actual eyeshadows. Here are all of the eyeshadows that come in this palette. There are 9 different shadows. The only negative that I can say so far without like using the eyeshadows or swatching them in any way, I did think that the eyeshadows were going to be a bit bigger, but it is nice when comparing it to my other Disney eyeshadow palettes or quads. This product does come with more eyeshadows. I believe my other Disney MAC eyeshadow palettes only came with like 4 to 6 eyeshadows, but this one comes with 9 different eyeshadows, so you do get a little bit more of a variation. Also, another negative, which I have noticed with some of my other MAC Cosmetics products that I have had in the past, the names of these eyeshadows are very hard to figure out. These eyeshadows do have names, and I think they are listed on the back, but it doesn't tell you which eyeshadow has which name. I actually had to go online and look up the names of each of these eyeshadows, so that's how I found out the names. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like that. I feel like they could have at least put them in order somehow so you know like which names are for which eyeshadow. Maybe they are in some sort of order and I'm just not aware of that order, but yeah, that's another kind of a little bit of a negative. All right, and now let's go ahead and move on to swatching the eyeshadows. So the first eyeshadow we have is in the name Riff Raff, and this is a dark tan matte color. I did swatch this eyeshadow twice, which is going to be a trend with the rest of the eyeshadows in this palette. So yeah, because I had to swatch this shadow twice, it wasn't as pigmented, but it definitely is buildable, and overall it's a really pretty color. The next eyeshadow we have is in the name Rags to Riches, and this is a creamy tan shimmery color. Again, this shadow is not as pigmented, and I did find it a bit patchy. Because it is close to my skin tone, you probably won't be able to see it too well other than the shimmers from it, but I did find this shadow to be buildable, and overall it is a pretty color, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. The next eyeshadow color we have is called No Ordinary Lamp, and this is a salmon pink matte color. Very similar to Riff Raff. I did find it to be not as pigmented, but from swatching it twice, it is a buildable color and overall really pretty. The next eyeshadow color is in the name Princess Jasmine, and this is a coppery turquoise iridescent shimmery color. This eyeshadow was a bit patchy, but from swatching it twice, it is more buildable. And overall, it is a pretty color, but because of that patchiness, it was a little bit of a letdown for me. I was really excited about this color. Next eyeshadow color is in the name Agrabah, and this is a burnt pink shimmery color. From swatching this eyeshadow twice, I did find that it is quite buildable and pretty pigmented, so this is definitely one of my favorites in this eyeshadow palette because it's just overall a beautiful color. The next eyeshadow name is in the name Abu, and this is a brownish purplish sheen eyeshadow color. Again, similar to Agrabah, this is another one of my favorite eyeshadows in the palette. It's just a beautiful color, it's buildable and pigmented. The next eyeshadow color is in the name Creative Copper, and this is a gold shimmery color. And once again, this is another one of my favorites in this palette. We have 3 favorites in a row. I just think this color is beautiful, and from swatching it twice, it is buildable. So yeah, just because of how beautiful of a gold eyeshadow this is, it's definitely one of my favorites. The next eyeshadow color is in the name Live the Genie Life, and this is a silver shimmery color. From swatching this eyeshadow twice, I did find that it is buildable and overall a beautiful color, just a basic silver eyeshadow. And last but not least, the last eyeshadow that comes in this palette is called Shadowy Lady, and this is a black matte color. From swatching this eyeshadow twice, I did find that it is a buildable color, but for being a black eyeshadow, I didn't find it as pigmented, and it is a little patchy, so for that reason, this isn't one of my favorites in the palette. And here are swatches of all 9 eyeshadows that come in this MAC Cosmetics Aladdin eyeshadow palette. Now let's go ahead and move on to my first impression thoughts as well as my final thoughts for this video. So overall, from swatching these eyeshadows and playing around with them a little bit, I did have some favorites from this palette, which includes Agrabah, Abu, and Creative Copper. Once again, to go back to the packaging, I love the simplicity and the sleekness of the packaging. And I do love how the pink pattern that's on the outer packaging and as well as on the transparent top of the actual palette, I feel like is very in theme with Aladdin, so I love that personal touch. Now, of course, I did have some eyeshadows in this palette that weren't my favorite. Some were more pigmented than others, some were a little bit more patchy than others. I just feel like you're gonna find that with any eyeshadow palette or eyeshadow brand that you go with. But overall, I do think that the eyeshadows in this palette swatched pretty well. There was hardly any fallout with these eyeshadows, which is always a plus. And I do think that each of these eyeshadows will perform beautifully on the eyes. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this purchase, and I definitely recommend it if this is something that you would be interested in owning for yourself. Alright everybody, and that is it for this Swatches and First Impressions video on the MAC Cosmetics Aladdin eyeshadow palette. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Also, make sure to check down in the description box for some of my other Swatches and First Impressions videos that I did recently. If you haven't seen those already, I would really appreciate if you check those out as well. But yeah, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.